Hey Team FXG, hope you had a great weekend. Looking for a strong, solid week this week. We're going to start our analysis with Euro Pound. Now, before we get into the analysis, I just want to say a couple things. Any entry on any pound pair has to be low risk until they figure it out. So for example, I'm cutting my risk in half, literally half. So if I'm taking a 1% risk on any of my entries, I'm cutting it to half a point. Euro Pound is an interesting signal because a lot of people here are forgetting the push and exhaustion cycle. So I'm going to definitely go through that and make sure you understand where you're going wrong. We don't really move money around on a Monday. A lot of times we're just doing our analysis. We're trying to figure out how price is reacting at market open. And then that way we can take in more data and make a better decision. Now, I'm not saying we don't place entries on Mondays. They're just much more rare than the entries that come on the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays. So when you're executing patience at its best, Mondays are more about price movement, sensitivity, identifying and making a game plan for the rest of the week. All right, Euro Pound, we're getting into it now. Okay, Euro Pound, starting on the monthly, we're looking for our higher time frame zones. We see buy sensitivity, we see upper sell sensitivity. I see some nice lower highs, so we identify our downtrend. So after identifying area sensitivity, what are we doing next? That's right, we're looking for flow. So here we see a strong push to the upside, coming back, breaking our lower zone and our downtrend to the upside. Price failed to come back for exhaustion after that break, but instead made a long push to the upside, where then it found sell sensitivity at our upper zone. So here's what's interesting. After this strong push to the upside, and then we finally saw sell sensitivity at our upper zone, we see this close of this bearish engulfing candle. But price failed to make a full and complete exhaustion before then potentially continuation to the upside. And due to this failure of a completion of exhaustion, I know that there's just a ton of buy pressure in the market. Now I want to take a closer look here at the completion of this push. So here we see that push, price failed to come back for exhaustion. We do see higher lows, so let's identify our uptrend. We see lower highs, let's identify our downtrend. Now I know there's a wedge. Okay, so we've identified our squeeze, known as a wedge or a flag pattern, whatever you want to call it. And for me, I like this. Why? Because this means a move is about to happen. Price is either going to make a strong break to the downside, or price is going to make a strong break to the upside, but consolidation is done. Now, before we take it down a time frame, I want you to notice that price tried to break to the upside twice on every touch of this downtrend. And this means that there's double confirmation on both touches, meaning that there's a lot of sellers in the market. So my hunch is that price will break to the downside rather than to the upside. So now let's just take it down a time frame. All right, we're on the weekly chart. We're looking for our weekly mid-range zone. For me, this is pretty obvious. So after identifying area sensitivity, let's make sense of things. There's that wedge we see on the higher time frame. Here's that sell sensitivity. Look at this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pin bars with a bearish engulfing candle close. Definitely sellers in the market, and this is because price is not only reaching its downtrend but also its zone, which is double sensitivity. There's a good chance that price is going to make its way to retest its uptrend, if not also its mid-range zone. Okay, so we've taken it down a time frame. Once again, what are we looking to do? That's right, we find area of sensitivity so we can identify our zone. All right, now this is interesting. A lot of sell pressure, we already know that, that's clear. But here's what's interesting. Price made a strong push to the downside to test its mid-range zone. Because there was so much sell pressure, it looked like price was gonna break its mid-range zone to the downside, but now we see a lot of buy pressure. And why is that? Well, because we know that after a push, there always is an exhaustion. Many people have the overall direction correct, but it comes to entry. Winners do not enter at a completion of a push. Winners enter at a completion of exhaustion. Your entry is going to look like this. You're going to wait for completion of exhaustion. You're then waiting for price action confirmation before a push to the downside. This would be a bearish engulfing candle close. So what would make this trade invalid? If price fails to come back for exhaustion and continues to the downside, this trade becomes invalid because risk reward is no longer optimal. Secondly, if price comes back for exhaustion but fails to see sell sensitivity and continues to make its way to the upside, this trade also becomes invalid because now we know that there's not enough sell pressure for price to move to the downside.